Hey everyone, and welcome back to the series on presentation tips. Today I want to talk about common mistakes that people make, and these are from Chris King. Now, Chris is actually an individual who coaches professional speakers, people who are motivational speakers, or certainly on the professional speaking circuit. And Chris notes that there are a number of errors that people make when they're giving these kind of presentations, and I think they actually apply to the classroom as well. Let's have a look at the kinds of things they're talking about. Number one, non-productive preparation. We spend most of our time working on the content, looking at what it is that we're going to be presenting to the class or the audience or whomever we're speaking to. But we spend very little time thinking about who that audience actually is, what their knowledge might be, what kind of questions they might be asking, and those sorts of things which really are very important as well. So the preparation has to be in terms of who the audience is, who's on the other side of your delivery, not just on what it is that you're saying. Number two, too much PowerPoint. This is an interesting thing, and I don't think at all Chris means by this that people use it too much, rather that they use it ineffectively, and when they do use it, there's too much on the PowerPoint. People have slides that are just completely incomprehensible, and you can't see it from a foot away, let alone halfway across the room. So what you need to do when you're using PowerPoint is use it effectively as you need to. Remember, it's a presentation aid, a presentation tool. It's not the main thing that you're going to use. It's your voice that needs to be the main characteristic. But try to make sure that the layout is clear. I tend to use a very common, easy to read font. This is Arial. This is sans serif font. It's in 40 points, so it's easy to read. And I generally follow the graphic design layout of no more than 6 lines per slide and no more than 6 words per slide. You can go away from that every now and then. But in general, this will ensure that your slides are quite easy to read and are very easily and nicely organized. Number 3, lack of audience interaction. It's not just a matter of telling people stuff. You want them to be actively involved. You want your audience to think about material and be talking about stuff themselves. You can do this kind of interaction. Even in large classes, you can have buzz groups, you can have think, pair, share, you can do all kinds of things like that. Get audience interaction going, and your whole lecture will go over a whole lot better. Number 4, failing to read the audience. You have to be looking out at the class or the audience and see what it is that they're doing. Are they paying attention to you? Are all the eyes on you? Are people looking at their watches? Are people doing other things? Are people falling asleep? You got to read the audience and try to understand whether they're actually with you. Do they have that puzzled look on their face? Are they smiling and nodding? Or are they really getting bored? You got to do that in order for you to know whether it's time to pick up the pace, whether it's time to stop and re-explain things. You got to look out at your audience. To do that, by the way, you have to be looking at the class, at the audience, and reading them. So you got to get away from the lectern. You got to get away from your speaking notes and actually look at the class. Number 5, lack of enthusiasm. Got to have that. If things are said in a monotone, totally unvarying way and the speaker doesn't move, you'll find that people's attention will just go away very quickly. If you're talking large first-year class, average attention span is probably no more than 8 minutes, and it's probably closer to 3 to 5 minutes. So you got to make sure that keep people with you. You've got to be enthusiastic. And this includes modulating your voice, moving around, making eye contact, all of that stuff. You got to be enthusiastic. And by the way, you have to be enthusiastic about everything you talk about, even the stuff that's really deadly boring. Because, if that comes across, if you're bored with it, then they're going to get bored with it too. If you're not interested in a particular topic, how do you expect anybody else to be? Number 6, copying other speakers' styles. There's nothing wrong with looking at what other people are doing or trying to see other instructors in terms of the kind of things they might use in class. But you don't want to do exactly what they do because you're not them. That spot's already taken. It's quite okay to incorporate it into your own style, but it has to be yours. It has to be your style. So make sure that you do that. Pick up some stuff from other people, that's fine, but always be true to yourself. Number 7, trying to please everyone. This is not going to happen. I know in a very large class, it might be the case that a lot of people are liking what I'm talking about. That's great. But I can't get 100%. I'm not going to find everybody is going to like what I say all the time. There's always going to be somebody who doesn't like the lecture. There's always going to be somebody who is bored with what I'm saying, no matter what. You can't please everyone. Don't try to. Instead, try to please a percentage of the class. Try to hit for the middle, 60% or the middle 50%, whatever seems reasonable to you. That's what you got to target for. And hopefully in doing that, you bring other people in as well. But it's not going to get to 100. Number 8, not using the sound system. I see people do this all the time. They say, no, I don't need the mic, I can talk. Well, yeah, that's true. And if you're in a relatively small class, say 30 people, you can do that. As soon as you start hitting larger rooms with 75, 80, 100, 500 people, you got to use a sound system. And you're just not going to be able to project and modulate your voice. And, you might even blow out your voice in a very large class. So learn how to use the sound system, learn how to use it effectively, learn how to put on that lapel mic so there's a bouncing all over and making crazy noises. Use the sound system. It'll be much to your benefit. Number 9, no strong opening and close. Often people will go into a lecture and, after getting everything ready, they'll say, okay, let's pick up where we left off last time. And you start right in. That's not a good way to start a lecture because most people are still sitting down. They're trying to get themselves thinking about what's going on here. They might just even be unpacking their books and things like that. Have an open. Have a story to tell. Have a hook that you want to get people in there because that's a time for everybody to start paying attention before you get into the meat of the lecture. By the same way, you want a strong closing. You don't want to just say, well, that's enough for today, let's stop. Bring everything to a close, to a conclusion. What have we been talking about today? And what are we going to do next time that maybe is worth coming back for? Always have that strong open and close. And number 10, misinterpreting evaluations. I know you do this. I do it. Everybody does it all the time. You get the student ratings back and you have a look at them. You say, damn, once again, I didn't get this. Or how am I ever going to get it above whatever? Have a look at that, sure, and you want to be paying attention to certain numbers, absolutely. But remember, you can't please everyone, and that not everybody is going to be on that. So you have to look at not only what the means are, not only what the average of the first 14 items might be, but have a look at each of the individual items, have a look at the medians, have a look at how many people have answered the question, have a look at what people are saying in the text portion, and telling you about the course. I know that a lot of people are going to say trivial things like, yeah, you rock, or best course ever. Fantastic, that's great. But throw that away. What you want is people who are giving you constructive feedback on what you might be looking for there. So have a look at those evaluations. Don't take them to heart completely. Don't focus on the negative ones. Be thinking about the fact that this is a positive outcome. It's feedback for you, and you're probably doing a whole lot better than you like to admit to yourself. Try to focus on some of these things that Chris is talking about here, and we'll try not to do those as we give our classes, and keep them in mind. Good lecturing.